Yourself, based on the assessment of all that has happened, do you think that Hope Uzodinma would support the release of Nnamdi Kanu? There's no way he will support it.
Why do you think so?
Why I think so is because Nnamdi Kanu had no business being incarcerated this long. I say it, and I'm very, very vehement about it. Nnamdi Kanu has not committed the kind of sin or the kind of atrocities, the kind of constitutional infraction any Nigerian has committed. Now, you have people like Sunday Igboho, who was arrested with arms. Igboho is going about doing whatever he's doing. Now, you have several kingpins, whether they are bandits, whether they are terrorists, or whether they're anything they are called, they are free and going about their businesses. Nnamdi Kanu is simply expressing his constitutional and humanitarian right. And so to keep on caging Nnamdi Kanu or incarcerating him is not only a disservice to humanity, is also a great constitutional crisis that will come into this country. Let me take it from this point. How do we explain a situation? A man who has stood up clearly that what he is fighting for is the marginalization, perceived marginalization of a certain set of people in this country. And he has a historical anecdote. Now, what is the historical anecdote? The certain people, the Igbo people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, over the decades have been marginalized in this country. It is not a matter of allegation. It is not a matter of perception. It is something that is as strong, as visible, seen everywhere. And then Nnamdi Kanu has stood up as the only person that consistently over the years and had said to everybody that my people are suffering, that my people are not enjoying what they are supposed to enjoy in the country called Nigeria. On account of that, he stood up and questioned the Nigerian state. So now, the Nnamdi Kanu issue is a multi-layered issue. First of all, you need to understand that there is a legal perspective to it. There is a political perspective to it. There is an economic perspective to it. There's also a socio-economic perspective to it. Now, let's look at the legal side of it. This is a man that was arrested in 2022. 2021. And when he was arrested, what was he arrested for? The charges were terrorism, treasonable felony, and managing an unlawful society. Now, those are the three things that he was accused of. Now, they went on trial. By 2017, the court granted him bail and he came out. By 2022, when they attacked his house, in Umuahia. The natural instinct for somebody to survive is to see how he can survive. It's just to find a way to exit the environment where he was being attacked. And so he fled the particular scene, and his fleeing of the particular scene, he found himself in the UK or wherever it is. And on account of that, they said he has run away. Now, the point being made is that while he was there, an arrangement was done to get him from Kenya, where he went to, and brought him back to the country. Since then, the legal issue has remained the way it is. It's not been moving forward. It's not going back. There has been a sustained effort directed by not only directed by the state, but there's some political contending interests within the Nigerian state, within the Igbo elite, within the political class to keep to put Kanu down. So, in the helicopter view, the Kanu phenomenon, the Kanu issue, is one issue that can consume the Nigerian state if it is not well managed. It is beyond the rhetorics we keep on talking about. The Kanu issue is an exemplary issue to show how we can manage a country. And if that is not done properly, if it is not done methodically, if it is not done with a sense of genuineness on the part of the Nigerian state, to see how they can have a political dialogue to manage the situation, it will definitely create more crisis. Of course, as we speak now, the Southeast is agitated. There is a plan of a protest that is coming up. Now, the nature and the reason the entry of that particular protest, that we're also trying to analyze. But one thing remains, that there is a very large number of population of Nigerians, whether they're from the Southeast, whether they're from the South, whether they're from the Southwest, whether from the South, from the North to the North. Everybody has one particular focus now to get Nnamdi Kanu out of the place. Then you ask yourself, why is it now that the whole focus, the attention is for Nnamdi Kanu to come out? Is it for the purpose of securing a political capital? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. Why would it be at the timing now that that is happening? Well, whatever timing it is, we're all interested. What we're interested in is Nnamdi Kanu should be left off hook and let him rejoin not only his family, he has a right, because as we speak, his health is bad and he has to go and take medical treatment wherever it is. So finally, regarding Nnamdi Kanu, my position is Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any sin which all the terrorists in this country have committed. Nnamdi Kanu is not as worse as Sunday Igboho. Nnamdi Kanu is not as demonic as the line of terrorists that are lined up in the north. They're everywhere. Nnamdi Kanu is not as evil as the bandits that spread out. That you have a bandit that will come and have a meeting with the Nigerian state operatives. Yet Nnamdi Kanu, who did not carry a gun, who did not do anything that is inhuman to speak like this set of people, is kept incarcerated in a cell. It's time for Nnamdi Kanu to come out from the prison, and we can move forward for a political dialogue on how we can reintegrate the Igbo people back to the nation state called Nigeria. There is a huge crisis among the political elite. Now, the lack of cohesion amongst the political elite is one factor that we need to also ask ourselves. Now, you need to find yourself, who are the governors of the Southeast? How did they get to where they are? You're talking about Mba, who just defected to APC. You're talking about Alex Uti. You're talking about Soludo. You're talking about several of the governors in the Southeast. Yes, Francis Wifre and Hope Uzodinma and the rest of them. Now, if I ask you one particular question, in yourself, based on the assessment of all that has happened, do you think that Hope Uzodinma would support the release of Nnamdi Kanu? There's no way he will support it.
Why do you think so?
Why I think so is because before his incarceration, you saw the battle, not only the media battle, you saw the punches. You saw not only the verbal punches, you saw the political volleys that was going on between himself and the governor of Imo State. Now, not only that, he sees, Hope Uzodinma sees Nnamdi Kanu as one of those who had made Imo State ungovernable for himself. So no right-thinking or rational governor will want Nnamdi Kanu to come out. But it is time to understand that this is a statesman. I am now a statesman that governs a people, and these parochial things should not be features or factors that I should look into, but rather it should be things I will consider in a broader perspective. So to your question, why is it that people like Hope Uzodinma, who is a governor, will not want Nnamdi Kanu? I've just addressed that. He will not want, because that time he made it in a way that it becomes very uncomfortable for him to govern the state. So Hope Uzodinma said. Now, for other governors, you need to understand the background of Oti himself. Oti is not a very noisy person. Oti is a very sound, professional, laid back, but organized political leader that is doing much in Abia. And that is his constituency. I do know of a certainty that old Oti has been at the background doing a whole lot for Nnamdi Kanu to come out, even though he might not come out in the media to talk about it. But there's a lot of work that's been going on the ground to see how Nnamdi Kanu will come out. First, it is his constituency, because that is where he comes from. Secondly, it will also be a political plus for him. Thirdly, it will now also bolster his chances of re-election. Fourthly, it will put him in a position to even get closer to the president and also to see how they can project the Igbo cause. So I see him being at the forefront of this particular campaign, but he is being also very, very cautious in his movement. Now, for people like Wunfure of Airborne, I can see neither here nor there where he is. Of course, you should understand his political mentor, Umahi. Umahi is vehemently opposed to anything that has to do with the Biafran cause. So I do not see any difference. I do not see any impact. I do not see any way his his boy to speak, or his political son will want to go to want to do what he doesn't want to do. So that's for Ebonyi itself. Now for Soludo, you know Soludo's position regarding this. Soludo does not take kindly to anything that has to do with this Biafran cause and all that. And he has voiced that over time. It's not hidden. His position is very clear. Now to your question, why is it that the Southeastern governors are reluctant to come out forcefully to now, as an umbrella body, to see how they can get Nnamdi Kanu out of incarceration? The answer simply is this: everybody is scared of his position of governor and that how impact on him, either during his re-election or their continual governance of that particular state. That is the reason. They're just being selfish about it, and that's why.
Nnamdi Kanu was in court today. Was in court today. So we really want to know what's your position?
His case is pending in court.
Yes.
I cannot comment on pending proceedings. Okay. I cannot comment on pending proceedings. You understand me? Because like you said, the case was in court today. All I can do for me is that is a matter that should be sorted out outside the courtroom. For me, it's a political case. Yeah, and if you have a situation where some governments are negotiating with bandits or the criminal elements, I mean, there can be no basis for not having that matter resolved politically.
I won't give you a gist. In 1967, the Nigerian Civil War was barely 3 months old, right? Nigerian soldiers advanced into Asaba, and the people of Asaba came out en masse to welcome them. They all wore white, carried green leaves, shouting, "One Nigeria, one Nigeria." But you see, days prior, the Biafran army led by Joseph Achuzia had blown up the Onitsha Bridge, which meant the Nigerian soldiers not go fit easily advance into Onitsha. This pissed off the soldiers in Asaba, and without authorization from the federal government in Lagos, they separated the men and the boys from the women. These people who are dressed up in white to receive them and welcome them, shouting "One Nigeria," and they slaughtered all of them. One of the people killed in that exercise was the late Sidney Asiodu, who had represented Nigeria in the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. Alas, Sidney could not run for his life. He died there. This battalion of soldiers were led by Colonel Moritala Mohammed. On October 8th of 1967, the few men who had not gone for that parade were rounded up. They dug mass graves and put all these bodies that had been executed the previous day, about 700 of them, and they made these young men to start to cover the graves with sand. One of the men in his account says as he was covering, he saw his brother, and the brother said, "Are you going to bury me alive?" and begged, because the brother was still conscious. But the soldiers were standing by, barrels cocked, and said, "Listen, go ahead or you die." With tears in his eyes, he proceeded and buried his brother alive with the other dead bodies there. This is a sad history in Nigeria, but don't take my word for it. These are not my stories. You can go and check University of South Florida Digital Library, the Asaba Memorial Project. Type it, or you travel, go there, you see for yourself, or you can read Blood on the Niger by Ima Okocha. Everything I said is there. It's 58 years ago this happened. Today, I just say, make I share some history with you now. Peace.
You cannot justify the destruction of these people's houses without compensation. You cannot justify the destruction of these people's livelihood without, for one, in the first place, you were the person who issued certificate of occupancy for all these people. You now came.
Hello and what's up, guys? In this video, Yoruba elder has dropped a bombshell, and trust me, this one is shaking tables across Nigeria. He's warning that what is happening in Lagos right now could spark another civil war. Yes, you heard that right, another war, just like the one that tore this country apart between 1966 and 1967. Back then, attacks on non-Northerners, especially the Igbos, got so bad that by 1967, Nigeria was at war. Millions of lives were lost, properties were destroyed, families were shattered, and according to this elder, Lagos is now walking that same dangerous path. He says the Lagos state government is repeating history. Thousands of Igbo families are being pushed out of their homes, their houses are being demolished, their businesses destroyed, and guess what? No warning, no compensation, nothing. The same government that gave them certificates of occupancy is now introducing a new law, one that takes over half of Lagos land. And who is getting the land? According to the elder, it is being shared among politicians and pastors to build estates and a so-called golden city, all for personal gain. He didn't hold back. He said this is not just injustice, it is a ticking time bomb. He warned that if this continues, people will be pushed to the wall, and when that happens, nobody can predict what comes next. He even went further to say that President Tinubu's 2027 re-election bid is at a serious risk if Tinubu doesn't act fast and eliminate all Islamic bandits causing chaos in the country. He might not return to power. Guys, this is not just one man talking. This is a warning rooted in history, pain, and fear of what could come next. The elder is calling his own people, the Yorubas, and telling them not to let selfish interests drag the whole nation into disgrace. Guys, I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look, guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
Between January 15, 1966 and July 1967, a continuous attack on non-Northerners were taking place in the north. It got out of hand that by 1967, war was declared. Majority of the people who lost their things then were the Igbos, because they had more things over there. They established the place, they developed the place, and those people destroyed it and took over everything. And not only that, killing started happening. Eventually, war broke out. I want you all to remember how many millions of people that died from both sides. What is going on in Lagos is a repetition of what happened between 1966 and 1967 in the northern part of the country. The only thing that makes this one to be different is that you cannot justify the destruction of these people's houses without compensation. You cannot justify the destruction of these people's livelihood without, for one, in the first place, you were the person who issued certificate of occupancy for all these people. You now came and introduced a law taking over half of the land of Lagos State, rendering thousands of people homeless without compensation. You are knocking on the door of a war. I am telling you, because there is a limit you will push people that they will not be able to take it anymore. This destruction is unjustifiable in any ways. If it was a law that has been in the nation from the beginning, it's better. But this is a law you introduced. You introduced this law and you are taking this law and dividing it amongst yourselves, giving it to pastors to build estates, building golden city for your personal. Don't, because of your selfish interest, bring the whole nation into total disrepute. That is even on the side. Nigeria is in trouble. I am telling you, America is on our case over the continuous killing of non-Muslims by the Muslim bandits. Unfortunately, they are no longer calling it. They are now calling it genocide against Christians. Even though those people who have been killed, many of the people who get killed every day are Muslims, Christians, people who don't believe in anything, and traditionalists. But the problem is, you see, America get power, they no get brain. Because people will get brain, they no go remove black people from position of power. People who get brain, they no go remove women from position of power. People who get brain will not be racially attacking people. People who get brain will not be chauvinistic in any form. Canada is on our case. Then get brain, then get power. The only people that are left now that I'm expecting, that I'm praying that they don't pay attention, is the United Kingdom. When the United Kingdom get involved, everything will change. And it is a guarantee that the Tinubu may not return back in 2027. The British, they have brain, they have power, and they have local people. Local people who have their interest. No, wọ́n lọ́wọ́ nílẹ̀ ní Nàìjíríà dáadáa. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ na Yorùbá. So my prayer is that they do not get involved, and that the President Tinubu, do everything possible within your power to eliminate all these Islamic bandits. Because if you don't, by the end of this year, I can assure you, with the way things are going and with the way things are rolling in the US, you're not going to return back to power in 2027.
Apparently, all the plazas currently being demolished at Trade Fair Complex, Lagos, are owned by Igbo men. Let's read out this lamentation by this Vanguard columnist, Ugo Ebujo. Now, Ugo Ebujo penned this on Facebook, and I read, "This is happening right inside the Trade Fair Complex. These buildings belong to my friend. I was there recently to inspect the project, a massive modern complex. The construction lasted over 5 years. He spent billions. Nobody said he contravened regulations. These are some of the best buildings on the market. This demolition is being done right now. No notice, no letter, no warning. This is terrible." It's not funny. It's not funny. My father was present the day Ikembo Domeji Ojukwu wept at the commissioning of the Lagos Trade Fair Complex. He spoke with a heavy heart, warning us Igbos to look homeward and build our future in Igbo land. Sadly, everything he said that day has come to pass, except his call for us to invest in our own soil. The truth is simple. This is not just about permits, approvals, or documentation. The real problem is sentiments, deep-rooted bias against the Igbo people. That is why our buildings are targeted, our investments destroyed, and our progress deliberately frustrated. Government officials who should be partners in progress now take delight in destruction. They watch buildings rise from the foundation to completion, sometimes even collecting bribes or benefiting from the project. But once their greed is no longer satisfied, they suddenly remember master plans and move in with bulldozers to destroy. Tell me, is that justice? Or is it wickedness dressed in abada and distinct tribal mark? Why can't the Lagos master plan be made public for everyone to see? Why should there be 5 years of silence while a project rises only for demolition to come the moment it is finished? That is not governance. That is bad belle. Pure and simple. And who suffers the most? The Igbos, who have poured their sweat, money, and destiny into a land that still sees them as outsiders. Ndị Igbo na-achọghị ịmụta ihe. Unu atụsala ahụ ebe ọbụla ị gara. Ọwụ ị gara ebe ọbụla gị bisara ahụ relasi agụ onye ezi. Enyi lọtawa ụlọ. Duplex is better than home. Also gị gaa ebe ahụ gaa nọ duplex rọ, ị ga-ekwete. Ndị a ga-echi gị ọnụ n'ala. Chike. Edike mandị gị na ha na-eme ihe. Ime otu eshi eti iwu nakwa ya. Enough is enough, oh. My people, it is time we call a spade a spade. Lagos is not our final bus stop. Leave Lagos and divert your businesses home. Onitsha, Aba, Nnewi, Owerri, Abakaliki, Umuahia, Asaba. These cities are ours. Ga Bonny, Opobo. Gano Bonny. See, if you take anything to Bonny, it is quite expensive because you have to cross the sea. Bruno business Gawache Benda. These cities are ours, waiting for us to invest more and transform them further into global hubs. When we take our business, they also get on a Lagos, Cameroon, Eboblini, you come down and look for us because we are the master plan. There is nobody that can satisfy them like the Igbos because we hold the master plan, now we know the business. Why keep building in a land that celebrates when our sweat is wasted? Why? I'm not happy. Let us stop feeding a system that does not want us. Let us redirect our energy homeward, expand our towns and cities, strengthen our roots, and prove to the world that Igbos can thrive anywhere, especially in their own homeland. Ojuku's tears were not in vain. His warnings is our guide. Home is where our strength lies. Let us invest more in Igbo land and build a future that no bulldozer can ever destroy. But the note, career the now. Governments when I also actually destroy a plaza. How they get possible? It's not done. There is no insecurity in the Southeast. Let me remind you, Southeast is the most secured zone in Igbo land. No matter what insecurity she did, it can Oga cannot. Oga de ka ebe ndo ofe man nke ha na-ekwe a na-agbafu ara agbala lọtawa n'ụlọ. Okay.